The mining vessel Hawking's Dream hung motionless against the backdrop of the Carina Nebula, its massive processing arrays sifting through the asteroid field for rare Earth elements. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood at the bridge viewport, watching the automatic harvesters at work when the proximity alert cut through the routine hum of ship operations. "Unknown vessel detected, bearing 035, announced David Chen, her sensor officer. "It's different from anything in our database, Captain." Maya turned from the viewport, her eyes drawn to the holographic display. The vessel's profile was unlike any human design, organic curves and crystalline structures that seemed to flow into each other. But what caught her attention wasn't its alien architecture, but the erratic way it tumbled through space. "Life signs?" she asked, already moving toward her command chair. "Definite biosignatures, but they're weak. Getting some seriously strange energy readings, too. Whatever their power source is, it's highly unstable." The bridge crew watched as more data streamed in. The alien ship was bleeding atmosphere, its hull breached in multiple locations. Maya's tactical display highlighted 3 other vessels at the edge of their sensor range, all of them clearly marking course corrections to avoid the damaged ship. "They're being ignored," Maya said quietly, her jaw tightening. "David, open a channel. All frequencies. Let's see if anyone's home." The response came not in words, but in pulses of light that rippled across the alien vessel's hull. The computer attempted to analyze the pattern, but before it could complete its work, a more urgent alert demanded their attention. "Captain, that power source is going critical," Sarah Williams, the chief engineer, reported from her station. "Whatever's powering that ship, it's going to breach in less than 30 minutes, and if these readings are right, it'll take out everything within 1,000 kilometers." Maya felt the weight of command settle onto her shoulders. The Hawking's Dream carried 6 months' worth of processed minerals, a haul that represented the livelihood of her entire crew. Their ship wasn't designed for rescue operations, and approaching an unknown alien vessel with an unstable power source violated at least a dozen safety protocols. "What about the other ships in range?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "They're maintaining their course away from the vessel, Captain," David replied. "Wait, we're receiving a transmission from the Stellar Dynamics trading ship Augustus. They're warning us to keep our distance, saying it's probably pirates trying to lure in rescuers." Maya walked back to the viewport, studying the alien ship's graceful lines now marred by damage. She thought about the first contact protocols they'd all studied, the careful diplomatic procedures they were supposed to follow. Then she thought about the weak life signs on her sensor display, growing weaker by the minute. "Sarah, how long would it take to reach them?" Her chief engineer didn't hesitate. 22 minutes at maximum thrust. That leaves us 8 minutes to figure out their power system and prevent a breach. And if we can't, then we'll all get an extremely close look at what happens when an alien reactor goes critical." Maya turned to face her crew. She saw the same tension in their faces that she felt, but she also saw something else: determination. They'd all signed up for deep space work knowing the risks, knowing that out here, sometimes you had to make impossible choices. "Sound general quarters," Maya ordered. "Sarah, I want you and your best engineers suited up and ready for emergency operations. David, keep trying to decipher those light patterns. If we're going to help them, we need to communicate. Dr. Patel, prep medical for possible alien casualties. We have no idea what we're dealing with, but we're going to give it our best shot." As klaxons blared throughout the ship and her crew rushed to their emergency stations, Maya sent a brief response to the Augustus. "Someone has to be first." Hawking's Dream out. The massive mining vessel's engines flared to life, its course already plotted to intercept the tumbling alien craft. Maya watched the distance counter tick down, aware that every passing second brought them closer to either a historic first contact or in spectacular disaster. "All hands," she announced shipwide. "This is the captain. We're about to attempt something that's never been done before. It's dangerous. It's probably crazy, and it goes against every safety protocol in the book. But there are lives at stake, and we might be their only chance. Whatever happens in the next 30 minutes, I want you to know that this is what humanity stands for. We don't turn our backs on those in need, no matter who they are or where they come from. Let's show our new friends out there what humans can do. Rodriguez out. As her ship accelerated toward the stricken vessel, Maya found herself smiling despite the tension. After all, wasn't this exactly what they'd all dreamed of when they'd first looked up at the stars? Not just finding new life among them, but proving that humanity deserved its place there. The alien ship grew larger in their viewport, its crystalline surface refracting starlight in complex patterns. In less than half an hour, they'd either make history or become part of it. Either way, Maya knew they were about to show the galaxy what it meant to be human. The distance between the ships vanished faster than Maya's comfort level would have preferred. At 500 meters, the alien vessel's true scale became apparent. It was barely a third the size of Hawking's dream, its crystalline hull webbed with fractures that sparkled ominously in their spotlights. "Final approach," announced Lieutenant Park from the helm. "Matching rotation. Now." Sarah's voice crackled over the comm from where she waited in the airlock with her engineering team. "Captain, those light patterns, they're getting stronger. I think they're trying to tell us something." Maya studied the pulses rippling across the alien hull. They seemed more urgent now, almost desperate. "David, any progress on decoding?" "It's not just random light, Captain. There's a mathematical pattern to it. Prime numbers, geometric sequences. They're trying to establish basic communication protocols." "Like Arecibo," Maya murmured, remembering humanity's own early attempts at interstellar communication. "They're starting with universal constants. Send back the same sequence. See if we can." A violent shudder ran through both ships as their magnetic grapples engaged. Warning lights flashed across Maya's displays. The alien vessel's power core was becoming increasingly unstable, its radiation signature spiking in irregular patterns. "Engineering team, you have 7 minutes," Maya announced. "Get over there and find a way to shut down that core before it takes both our ships with it." Sarah and her team crossed the void between ships in their environmental suits, magnetic boots clicking against the crystalline hull. They found an airlock, or at least something that looked like it might be one, covered in more of those pulsing lights. "The patterns changed when we approached," Sarah reported. "They're teaching us their numbering system. 10 digits, like us. They're giving us the combination to open the airlock." Maya watched through the helmet cameras as Sarah input the sequence. The crystalline surface shifted and flowed like liquid glass, creating an opening. Inside, emergency lighting cast everything in a pale blue glow that seemed to throb in time with Maya's racing heart. "Atmosphere present, but thin," Sarah reported as her team moved inside. "Temperatures dropping fast. These corridors, they're not designed for bipedal movement. Everything curves and branches like blood vessels." They found the first aliens near what appeared to be the ship's control center. They were nothing like the humanoid aliens of science fiction. Their bodies were vaguely cylindrical, supported by multiple tentacle-like appendages, their surface covered in what looked like translucent scales that rippled with patterns of light, their natural form of communication. One of them detached from a wall-mounted device that might have been medical support and approached Sarah's team. Its light patterns shifted rapidly, desperately trying to convey something. "Dr. Patel," Maya called to their chief medical officer, who was monitoring from the Hawking's dream. "What are we looking at?" "Fascinating," Patel replied, his voice full of professional excitement despite the crisis. "Their biology appears silicon-based rather than carbon. Those light patterns, they're not just communication, they're part of their metabolic process. They're literally glowing with life. But these readings suggest they're severely stressed. The cold is killing them." The alien reached out with one of its appendages, touching Sarah's helmet. The patterns of light across its surface synchronized with the emergency lighting, creating a 3-dimensional display in the air between them. It's their power core. Sarah gasped. They're showing us. It's not unstable. It's dying. These aren't just random energy spikes. It's their equivalent of a life support system trying to keep them alive. But it's failing. Maya made a decision. Sarah, forget about shutting it down. Can we hook their systems into our power grid? Captain, their technology is completely alien. We'd be connecting two entirely different technological paradigms. The power surges alone cooled. Can we do it? A pause. Maybe. But we'd need their help to understand their systems, and we can barely communicate. The alien was still projecting its light display, but now it showed something new. Mathematical equations, engineering principles. Some were familiar, others completely foreign, but the intent was clear. They were trying to teach humans their technology, compressing years of scientific knowledge into precious minutes. They're dying, Dr. Paddle reminded them. Their core temperature is still dropping. Whatever we're going to do, it needs to happen now. Maya watched through the camera feeds as more aliens emerged from various chambers, each adding their own light patterns to the display, creating a complex web of information. Their movements were sluggish, their lights dimming, but they were fighting to help her crew understand. Sarah, Maya said softly, remember what I said about showing them what humans can do. This is it. These beings created a completely different path to the stars than we did. Their science, their technology, it's all alien to us. But they're still people, and they need our help. We've got the best engineering team in the Deep Space Fleet. Show them what that means. Sarah was already moving, directing her team to different sections of the alien vessel. Okay, everyone, we're going to do something incredibly stupid and hopefully incredibly brilliant. Chen, start running power calculations. Martinez, get the emergency fusion tabs ready. These people literally speak in mathematics, so let's solve this equation together. As both crews raced against time, Maya realized they were witnessing something unprecedented, not just first contact, but first cooperation, with the survival of both ships hanging in the balance. The galaxy, she thought, was about to learn another important lesson about humanity. When the chips were down, there was nothing they couldn't do. Time seemed to blur as Sarah's engineering team worked alongside the aliens, their movements becoming a complex dance of human tools and alien technology. The crystalline walls of the vessel pulsed with increasingly erratic patterns as its inhabitants fought to translate their knowledge into terms the humans could understand. We've got maybe 4 minutes before total system failure, Sarah reported, her voice tense but focused. Their power core, it's not just machinery. It's partly biological, integrated with their ship systems in ways we never imagined. It's literally dying. Maya watched through the video feeds as human hands and alien appendages worked together, connecting improvised adapters to crystalline interfaces that seemed to respond to touch and thought as much as physical manipulation. The aliens' light patterns had become noticeably dimmer, their movements slower, but they kept working. Their core temperature is reaching critical levels, Dr. Patel warned. Even if we restore power, we might lose some of them to hypothermia. Their biology, they need heat and specific frequencies of light to maintain their metabolic processes. Then Martinez, one of Sarah's junior engineers, spoke up excitedly. Chief, look at this. Their power distribution isn't electronic, it's photonic. They don't use electricity, they use light. Sarah's helmet camera swung to where Martinez was pointing. The alien beside him was projecting a complex diagram into the air, showing how energy flowed through their ship in waves of light, carried through the crystalline structure of the hull itself. Of course, Sarah breathed. Their whole ship is one giant fiber optic network. That's why it's failing as it gets colder. The crystal structure is contracting, distorting the pathways. Captain, we need to modify our approach. Forget about electrical connections. We need to feed them light. The mining arrays, Maya said immediately. The focusing lenses we use for mineral analysis. Exactly. We can reconfigure them to channel energy from our fusion core directly into their hull as concentrated light. Their ship will act like one massive optical cable, distributing the energy where it's needed. Sarah was already moving, directing her team to new positions. Martinez, start the modifications. Shen, help me calculate the frequencies. We need to match their core's output exactly, or we'll shatter their hull. The aliens seemed to understand what the humans were attempting. More of them emerged from their chambers despite the cold, their bodies synchronizing to project a massive holographic display showing the specific wavelengths their systems required. 2 minutes to core failure, David reported from the Hawking's dream. Maya made a ship-wide announcement. All hands, we're about to attempt something unprecedented. Diverting power from all non-essential systems to the mining arrays. Bridge crew, strap in. If this works, we're going to feel it. The next 90 seconds were a blur of activity. Sarah's team worked with desperate efficiency, converting mining equipment into a massive energy transfer system. The aliens, barely able to move now in the extreme cold, continued to project vital information even as their lights grew dangerously dim. Ready, Sarah called. Starting power transfer in 3, 2, 1. The Hawking's dream shuddered as energy was diverted from its fusion core through the hastily modified mining arrays. A brilliant beam of concentrated light struck the alien vessel's hull at precisely the calculated point. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the crystalline structure began to glow. The light spread through the alien ship like dawn breaking across a frozen lake. The complex network of crystal pathways lit up one by one, carrying energy to every part of the vessel. The aliens' bodies began to pulse more strongly as warmth and light returned to their environment. Core temperature stabilizing, Dr. Paddle reported excitedly. Their metabolic readings are improving. Whatever you did, it's working. The aliens' light patterns surged with renewed strength, creating a dazzling display that needed no translation to understand. It was celebration, gratitude, joy. Their ship's systems began to come back online, the hull itself seeming to heal as the proper energy flow was restored. Power transfer holding steady, Sarah confirmed. We'll need to maintain this for at least an hour to fully stabilize their systems, but I think we've done it. We've actually done it. Maya felt a smile spread across her face as she watched human and alien crew members celebrate together, their differences forgotten in the shared triumph of survival. They'd not only saved lives, but had discovered something remarkable about both species, that even with completely different biologies, technologies, and ways of thinking, they could find ways to work together. Captain, David called out, his voice odd. We're picking up new contacts on long-range sensors. Multiple vessels, approaching fast. They're not commercial ships. Maya's smile faded as she studied the tactical display. The ships that had ignored the aliens' distress call were returning, and their weapon systems were powered up. Apparently, they wanted to ensure there would be no witnesses to their earlier abandonment. Well, Maya said grimly, I guess we're about to show our new friends another human trait. We protect our own. And right now, that includes them. The approaching ships cut through space like predators, their engines burning hot enough to be visible to the naked eye. Maya counted 6 vessels, all of them armed, all of them broadcasting standard merchant IDs that were obviously fake. They're trying to jam our communications, David reported from his station. Long-range signals are already blocked. Maya watched as the alien light patterns change, becoming sharp and urgent. Sarah's voice came through the comm. Captain, they're showing us something. It's tactical data. These ships have attacked before. They're scavengers who prey on disabled vessels. Giving them a chance to escape back then would have meant witnesses, Maya concluded grimly. Status of the power transfer. Stable, but we can't move while maintaining it. Their ship systems still need at least 40 minutes to fully recover. The tactical situation was bad. The Hawking's dream was a mining vessel. It had point defense weapons to handle pirates interested in their cargo, but nothing that could stand up to 6 armed ships. They could disconnect from the alien vessel and run, but that would doom their new allies to either a cold death or whatever fate the scavengers had in mind. Then the alien ship's holographic displays changed again, showing detailed schematics of their vessel's systems. Sarah's voice rose with excitement. "Captain, they're not just showing us their ship. They're showing us what it can do. Their hull, the crystalline structure. It's not just for power distribution. The whole thing can act as one massive optical computer. If we route our sensor data through their systems, we'd have processing power orders of magnitude beyond our own." Maya finished. "Do it, David. Give them access to our tactical feeds. Let's see what they can do with it." The next few minutes were a flurry of activity as human and alien technology were linked in ways never before attempted. The crystalline hull of the alien ship began to pulse with complex patterns as it processed vast amounts of data, creating a real-time tactical hologram that filled their command center. "Incoming message from the lead vessel," David announced. "They're ordering us to disconnect and withdraw, claiming they have salvage rights to the disabled ship." Maya's response was cut off by a sudden change in the tactical display. The aliens were showing them something: weapon ranges, blind spots, reactor vulnerabilities. They'd analyzed the approaching ships and found weaknesses that human sensors alone would never have detected. "They're not just processing our sensor data," Sarah reported with awe in her voice. "They're detecting quantum fluctuations in the enemy ship's drive systems. They can predict their maneuvers before they make them." Maya leaned forward in her command chair. "Sarah, can we use their processing power to enhance our point defense targeting? Better than that. Their hull can focus and redirect energy with incredible precision. If we modify our power transfer beam, we can turn it into a weapon," Maya finished. "How long?" 10 minutes, maybe less with their help." The scavenger ships were closing fast. In 8 minutes, they'd be in firing range. Maya made her decision. "Do it. Everyone else, battle stations, we're about to show these scavengers why you don't underestimate human ingenuity or alien allies." The next few minutes were a testament to both species' capabilities. While Sarah's team worked to modify their energy transfer system, the aliens used their ship's massive processing power to analyze every aspect of the approaching threat. They predicted attack vectors, calculated optimal defensive positions, and even found a way to partially counter the communication jamming by routing signals through the quantum-entangled crystals of their hull. The scavengers opened fire the moment they were in range, but the enhanced tactical data from the alien ship's processors let the Hawking's Dream's point defense systems target incoming missiles with unprecedented accuracy. Not a single shot got through. "Modifications complete," Sarah announced just as the enemy ships began their main attack run. "Energy focusing system online." The aliens' tactical display highlighted optimal firing solutions. Maya didn't hesitate. "Target the lead ship's drive system. Fire." The same beam that had saved the alien vessel now lanced out as a weapon, its energy perfectly focused through the alien ship's crystalline structure. It struck the lead scavenger ship at exactly the right point, causing its quantum drive to fluctuate and fail. The ship went dark, drifting helplessly. The remaining attackers broke formation, surprised by the unexpected resistance. But the alien processors were already tracking them, predicting their escape routes, finding more weaknesses to exploit. 2 more ships lost power before the others finally turned and fled, leaving their disabled companions behind. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Maya realized something remarkable had happened. 2 completely different species, using totally different technologies, had found a way to work together so perfectly that they'd become more than the sum of their parts. The aliens' processors and energy-focusing capabilities combined with human tactical experience and engineering skills had created something entirely new. The alien ship's holographic displays shifted again, but this time they showed something different. Images of stars, planets, and what looked like coordinates. Star charts, Maya realized. They were offering to share their astronomical knowledge. Sarah's voice was filled with wonder. "Captain, I think this is more than just gratitude. They're showing us their trade routes, their colonies. They want to stay in contact, to keep working together." Maya smiled. What had started as a rescue had become something far more important, the beginning of a true partnership between species, and all it had taken was for humans to show that, sometimes, the most powerful choice was simply to help. The news of what happened in the Carina Nebula spread quickly through both human and alien space. The Hawking's Dreams logs of the encounter were transmitted to Earth, where the implications of what they'd discovered sparked intense excitement in scientific communities worldwide. The aliens, who called themselves the Lumini, as close as human languages could approximate their light-based name, turned out to be respected members of their own civilization. Their ship had been carrying critical scientific data when it suffered its catastrophic failure. The fact that humans had not only saved them, but helped protect that data made the story even more significant. 2 months after the incident, Maya stood in a conference room on Europa Station, Earth's primary deep space diplomatic facility. The chamber had been specially modified with crystalline panels to allow the Lumini representatives to communicate naturally through their light patterns. She watched as human and Lumini scientists worked together, their different approaches to physics and engineering leading to breakthrough after breakthrough. "They've already helped us improve our sensor systems by 400%, Sarah explained, pointing to a holographic display showing the new hybrid technology. "Their understanding of quantum mechanics makes ours look primitive, but they're just as fascinated by our approach to fusion power and material science. We solve the same problems in completely different ways." The 3 Lumini, who had been primarily responsible for interfacing with Sarah's engineering team during the crisis, were now leading their species' scientific exchange program. Their light patterns had become familiar enough that Maya could recognize their distinct personalities. One particularly bright and rapid communicator had even picked up human humor, finding ways to make its patterns convey jokes. "The real breakthrough isn't just technological," Dr. Patel added, watching as medical teams from both species collaborated on understanding each other's biology. "They see the universe in fundamentally different ways than we do. Their silicon-based biology, their photonic computing, it's opening up whole new avenues of research, and they say our ability to adapt and improvise is teaching them just as much." The Lumini had shared the full story of their distress call and the ships that had ignored them. In their society, such abandonment was technically legal. Ships were not required to risk themselves for others. But humanity's choice to help despite the danger had sparked intense philosophical discussions among their people. Maya's attention was drawn to a new arrival in the conference room, a delegation from the Merchants Guild, the same organization that had warned them away from helping the Lumini. Their representatives looked distinctly uncomfortable as they were led to a meeting area where both human and Lumini observers would be present. "They're here to discuss new safety protocols for deep space navigation," David explained with a slight smirk. "Apparently, letting ships in distress die is bad for business when the news gets out, especially when the ships you abandoned turn out to be carrying vital scientific research." The aftermath of the incident had led to profound changes in how both species approached space travel. The Lumini had begun incorporating human-style rescue protocols into their fleet operations, while human ships were being fitted with crystalline sensor arrays that merged both species' technologies. But the most significant change was in how they saw each other. "We thought we were so different," Sarah mused, watching the scientists work. Their biology, their technology, their whole way of thinking, it all seemed completely alien. But when it mattered, we found ways to work together. Maybe that's what first contact should really be about. Not just meeting new life, but finding ways to complement each other's strengths. A message from the Lumini delegation caught Maya's attention, their light patterns forming words in the air. "We have analyzed many possible paths of technological advancement. Until meeting humans, we believed efficiency and caution were the optimal approach. You showed us that sometimes the greatest discoveries come from being willing to take risks to help others." This is why we have chosen Earth as the site for our first joint research institute. The announcement caused a stir in the conference room. The institute would combine human and Lumini approaches to science, creating opportunities for both species to learn from each other. But more than that, it would stand as a testament to what could be achieved when different species chose to work together. Maya thought back to that moment in deep space, when she had to decide whether to risk everything to help an unknown species. The Hawking's dream had been named after one of humanity's greatest scientists, a man who had urged humanity to look to the stars while warning of the risks of first contact. She liked to think he would have approved of how this particular first contact had turned out. As she watched human and Lumini crews planning future joint missions, Maya realized they had discovered something more valuable than any mineral they could have mined from the Carina Nebula. They had found proof that the galaxy didn't have to be a cold, uncaring place where ships passed each other in the night. With courage, compassion, and the willingness to reach across the void, they could build something greater than either species could achieve alone. The Hawking's dream's original mission had been to mine resources from lifeless rocks. Instead, they had found something far more precious: hope for a future where different species could work together to overcome any challenge. As the first joint human-Lumini expedition prepared to launch, Maya knew that this was just the beginning. The stars had always promised adventure, but now they promised something more: the chance to show that humanity's greatest strength was not in what we could take from the universe, but in what we could give to it.